genuinely one of the most terrifying stories I've ever read. No joke. This is a story about a mimic in the deep Himalayan mountains. The person that sent me this is called Lemon. I think that's what his name translates as. And he said he grew up quite deep in the Himalayan mountains. And one evening he was walking a goat path that he would regularly do as a child. And he said the air started to get very, very cold. And his legs started to get heavy, and the elders of his village would describe this feeling as dark silt, which meant that a creature, a dark spirit known as I had to translate this, a bikayhal, was around. Now, I think in Western culture, we would refer to this spirit as a mimic. That's what I think it's most closely related to. So Lemon said he was walking along this goat path and he felt this heaviness, this dark silt. And in the distance, he saw a friend, a neighbour by the name of Tashi. Now, him and Tashi had grew up together. They played with each other quite a lot, but he knew that Tashi wasn't allowed out at this time of night in the mountains. He said Tashi was wearing his usual red poncho and he was kind of crouched down on the floor. So Lemon started calling out to Tashi, but Tashi didn't respond how you'd expect him to respond. He said as he got closer, he realised that the poncho that Tashi was wearing was far too tight, and this creature, Tashi, turned around and did a movement that, honestly, inhuman. He said its arms and legs twisted and so did its neck, revealing Tashi's face, but it was imperfect. It wasn't quite Tashi's face. He says its eyes were so far back and quite hollow, and its teeth looked like slate chopped up in its mouth. Lemon knew right then that this creature was not his friend Tashi, and he knew from his village and from his elders that this was the bikayhal. He said the creature was doing these weird, jagged movements towards him and was slowly, in Tashi's voice, trying to say, "Help me," and it came closer to him. I have got goosebumps. What the hell? And I'm in the woods right now. He then said the creature very quickly switched up and stood up straight. And then from that, he realised that the trousers that he was wearing were too tight. The shoes that he was wearing that were Tashi's were too small, and it looked like his legs and feet were stuffed into these child shoes. And as Lemon stood there in shock, he said this creature stood up straight and then started to mimic Lemon's movement. So when Lemon took a step back, the bikayhal took a step forward. When Lemon turned his head, the bikayhal turned its head. Now, the elders in his village said that the bikayhal don't like iron. Iron is a defense against the bikayhal, and he said that it's quite common in their culture to carry either iron keys or just something iron with them, and he gripped the iron keys in his pocket very tight. As the creature was coming closer, Lemon said that he didn't want to risk anything, so he just gripped hold of his keys, abandoned his goats, and ran straight back to his village. He ran straight to Tashi's house and knocked on the door and said to Tashi's mum when she opened the door, "Where's Tashi? Where's Tashi?" And she said, "Tashi's in bed. Where else would he be?" And Lemon said that confirmed to him that the creature that he saw was some dark spirit mimic, hoping to entice him. When Lemon got home, he noticed that his hands were really hurting, and he looked down at his hands, and the iron keys that he was holding had left a scar that he still has today. He's also sent me a photo of that, and he described this mark as when you stick your tongue on a frozen lamppost and have to peel your tongue away. That's what the iron keys were doing in his hand. He told his parents, who told the elders of his village what had happened, and the elders did something in their culture to kind of protect him, but they always were quite wary of him because the bikayhal only really shows itself to, I guess, unlucky people. He said the thing that saved him that night was the bikayhal, or the mimic, was not quite an exact match. And he said this thing couldn't get Tashi's face just right, because if it was Tashi, who knows where Lemon would be today. Stories like this blow my mind. The story was written beautifully, but there were some words that couldn't be translated in English, including that in their village they have some stones and it said painted with ochre to protect the village from dark spirits. But people believe these stories to be folklore, but folklore has to originate from something. And when you hear about different spirits around the world, like a bikayhal, it seems very similar to a mimic in Western culture, like how something has to happen for multiple different cultures to experience it. I hope I've worded that right. A bizarre, fascinating, beautiful story. If you have one just like it, email me. The link is in my bio.